Our theme song. Three Guys theme song.
Hello, everybody. Welcome
hello.
back to Three Guys, One Music. I'm Jamie. I'm here with Mike and Grant, as always. Hello, guys. What's happening?
Oh, man. Just living the good life.
How's the weather back east?
Cloudy.
Has it been
Cloudy.
overcast?
You expect
sprinkly.
rain all day?
A little
Yeah.
sprinkly.
Expected something, but
Mhm.
never got it.
It's been pretty nice here in the Midwest. Yeah, pretty nice. So I'm going to talk about this week. We're going to discuss who did it best. Covers of great songs, and we have not discussed this between us. Like that's the norm. We have no idea where this is going.
Secret.
Yeah, I'm always curious and excited to hear my partner's choices.
It's all about the journey.
I don't know if it's reciprocated, but you know,
Journey in there.
it's fair enough.
Our journey song.
Well, I'm going to talk about what I've been listening to this week, and I'm going to go first. So I've been listening to Saga's 1980 release Silent Night, and I'm going to make the comment that I think that might be their best recording of all their records, arguably. Yeah. I know that we've discussed Heads or Tails. I just don't like the production on that record. There's something funky about it.
It's a very
all of the songs are very good. It's very
digital age album, I think, that one.
Yeah.
But
Silent Night's perfect.
Yeah, it's a perfect balance.
It's a really warm recording, but it still sounds modern. Really am enjoying that. I've got 2 songs on a 1980 playlist, and Careful Where You Step and Don't Be Late.
And Don't Be Late. Great.
Excellent.
Yeah, both all the songs on there are really good. And I've been listening to Rush's 1980 release, Permanent Waves. I read an old article from on Alex Lifeson from Guitar Player Magazine from June 1980, where he was discussing his high watt amps. He used high watts primarily on Permanent Waves. And that's so exciting for me because I just bought a Sound City amp a few weeks ago, and I'm in that world, and I just love it. I did get the amp that I bought last week, though. I got it a couple days ago.
Oh.
Sounds really good.
Now you're done with your amp purchases. All right.
Yeah, I did buy some pedals yesterday, though. I bought a noise gate and a couple of delays. Then I think I'm done.
Have you had any success looking for that overdrive?
No.
I
don't even know. I don't think it's still manufactured. I reached out to the company.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's still made, but the used version. I had one at one time, and it was great. I didn't realize that it does a certain something.
Mm-hmm.
It's so funny how, with reflection, you think, God, there's no other pedal or whatever device it is, piece of gear. This one sounds a little bit better for some things, and I could use it.
Yeah.
And I've never seen one since. And I bought that because it was cheap. It was really inexpensive. It was like $59. And it really had a unique sound to it. I'd love to find another one.
Yeah.
The other release I've been listening to is 1971's Fragile from Yes.
Oh, yeah.
South Side of the Sky. And love that song. Enjoying the musicianship of all those bands.
That's the
Mike,
for progressive music.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, it's not even about that for me. It's just, it's not, I don't even look at through that lens. And I have been listening to some King Crimson stuff. The Beat Tour with Adrian Belew, Steve Vai, Danny Carey, and Tony Levin started a few days ago. I've been watching the live clips from that.
What do you think of that?
I love it. I think they look like they're having a great time.
It feels like
authentic.
It feels like I don't know if you guys would agree, but it feels like Danny Carey, especially, and Steve Vai, add a certain looseness. There's a groove there that wasn't there with Bill Bruford. Not taking anything away from Bill Bruford, he's an amazing drummer,
Right.
music technician. But Danny Carey made it. I can't remember what song I was listening to, but he certainly adds grooviness to what's going on there.
It does feel good. I think it's the fact that those guys are rock fans,
Yeah,
as well as there is just a looseness to rock.
yeah,
I mean, you have bands that become a part of your vocabulary, and I'm not sure on Bill Bruford. I could say almost certainly that was never part of his vocabulary.
yeah,
Yeah.
Robert Fripp either.
yeah. Those guys always seem like they're exploring, even when they're playing their own music. After a while, And Danny
Fripp
Carey
and
and
Bruford, do you mean?
yeah, and even Adrian Blue and Tony Levin, maybe they're looser because they played this 100 times and
And they play with
they're
rock
older
bands
and
too.
easier with it. Yeah,
Rock artists as well.
yeah.
Could-
What I've seen of them is really exciting.
Yeah, I think it looks like a great time. I hope I have an opportunity to see that show somewhere. I was hoping to see it in Indianapolis, and unfortunately, I don't think I'll be in town when that happens. So I don't know. I'm going to try to see if I can catch it somewhere. But I think I'll just say this lastly about there's 4 Americans in the band now,
Yes.
and who knows? I just think that the British have they have a different feel, and it's interesting that you comment on the grooviness
Yeah.
in the current incarnation, but I would totally agree with that. It just feels really comfortable. I wonder what other people who like it a little bit more rigid, what their reaction would be. It'd be interesting to hear what they say. But
Well, honestly, what I heard was not my expectation,
really,
but it does swing a little bit more, and it's certainly not a bad thing.
yeah,
I enjoy watching them.
Yeah, not that Gavin Harrison can't groove, but he's a definitely different style drummer than Danny.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
So that's part of it, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And like you said, the British that way, for lack of a better term. You know?
It's not a criticism. It's just
No,
an
not at all.
observation.
Yeah.
Right.
I just wonder if it is a rock thing. I mean, maybe some people would looked at it as be a negative, but I think it's a feel thing. It's positive, but I'm an American. I don't know if I can't view it any other way. I've always felt it that way. So
yeah, if you're watching
Mike,
if you're watching from the UK, comment down below. Tell us how you feel.
Please let us know.
Give us some British minutia on how British players are different from Americans.
Yeah. Well, not a lot this week, a lot new that I haven't talked about before, but I did go back and listen to TV on the radio. I haven't listened to them in a while. It's interesting. As I was thinking about certain bands that I've discovered, and TV on the radio was one of those that I discovered about the same time as Band of Horses and oh my gosh, Jim James Band.
My Morning Jacket.
Yes, My Morning Jacket.
My
Discovered
band.
them all 3 around 2008, and it's weird that sticks out in my memory because I have no memory for anything. But TV on the radio, excellent band. A lot of their songs sound so different from each other. Certainly an original vibe in there. Wolf Like Me, of course. What a great song. So much energy. The other artist I listened to is Austin Lucas. Not very well known, but been around for a long time. Started off kind of classified as Americana country rock. Recently heard someone call him what is it, like punk country or country punk, something like that. But Austin Lucas is a phenomenal artist. I actually saw him in person on a basement tour. I didn't know that was a thing, but apparently you organize with people around the country who have a big enough basement to host a lot of people. And my dad and I went to see him in Durham in someone's basement, and it was one of the best concerts, one of the best shows. I don't know if you call it a concert, but one of the best shows ever.
Gathering.
And his probably most famous song, Alone in Memphis, was his encore. And he said, get closer. And everybody, he's like, no, get real close. And we were this close to him while he played the song, and everybody sang along. And it was just a beautiful moment. It's so exciting.
Oh, wow.
And what
That
a great
like
show.
fun.
But Austin Lucas is, a very original country vein musician. Anyway, I don't know actually what he'd call his music, but yeah, worth a listen. He's got 4 or 5 albums, and very strong, emotional, dynamic stuff.
I just want to comment on something that you just made me think of.
Yeah.
I think that the way the music world is now and the industry, I don't know how much different it is than 5 years ago, but I never thought about this 5 years ago. The way the current industry is, I think people are grateful just to have any level of career.
Mm-hmm. I'll agree.
Yes.
I'll agree.
Yeah. People would be grateful to make plenty of money. But I think that people, especially upstarts and younger people, I think they're happy just to be able to have songs that people can hear, maybe with low expectation. It's probably realistic. And it wasn't that way 20 years ago. Certainly not 30 years ago. You thought, well, okay, well, I want to make enough money to buy a house and have a career or whatever. But I don't think that's the way people think these days.
Mm-hmm.
I think that people would abandon. I don't know if you could do it when you're 60, but maybe a 20 or 30-year-old could do it pretty easily. It's like just go around in the van for a while and open up for bigger bands and just slug it out and hope that you can make enough to survive.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like fun, but if you're doing what you love to do and it's not too much of a drag and hardship, I think that a lot of people are okay with that.
Yeah.
Just to be able to play music and be creative. I think about, these younger people that, God, what are the chances that they're going to make enough money to, how many Taylor Swifts come along? One in a generation?
Yeah. Well, she hit the right time. I mean,
she hit it the
her,
time. She's prolific.
She was country,
talented.
I mean, and people were still paying for music, I guess, when she started. And before everything was, everybody wants it free.
Well, even people who aren't really into music are fans of hers.
Yeah.
I mean, most of them, I would say, are women.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
that
two. Go ahead.
That I was going to say, that notion of just getting your song out there and having people listen to it, it's so much easier today because of social media and the internet, of course.
Right.
What's the channel called? YouTube. You can, you've heard of it, right? You're laughing, but it's actually a good thing.
And now it's drenched. It wasn't drenched before, but now it's like,
but you put your song out there and you can wait for something to happen, or you can chase it, promote it, that notion that it's much easier.
I mean, your favorite Justin Bieber got discovered on YouTube, so
I knew
you can paint that picture. You can paint it however you want, but I watch YouTube for a variety of reasons, usually for gear, not usually for listening to songs, not normally. I think most of us have some sort of streaming service. We can pull up a song and have it as good a quality as we can, as possible. But all the gear that demonstrations and all the things on YouTube that I watch, I just can't imagine not having access to that. So it's just one of those things that it's here.
It's ubiquitous.
Well, I mean, it's here to stay. Just like,
It's
like if you think about how ridiculous it is to even think about it or talk about it, it's like, can you imagine not having the internet? No, I mean, it's here forever. You can't go backwards. Once that cat's out of the bag, it's here. It's just,
I haven't been to the library in 6 years, so if the internet disappeared, I guess I'd be going back to the library.
That's an interesting thing. I did go quite.
Where's your new release section?
Right. I need to rent a DVD.
To get books occasionally. Haven't done that in a while. Yeah, it's crazy how much information we truly have access to. So, all right, that was my 2 cents.
Okay, support your local library, kids.
Yeah, libraries are still cool.
Absolutely,
they are. Grant, what have you been listening to?
Not a ton. I kind of like Michael. Some of the usual stuff. Been listening to Mogwai. Always Mogwai, very good. Been listening to Ryan Bingham. I believe I mentioned him before. particularly his Junkie Star album this time around. Americana, country-ish. I won't say country, but very rough and tumble type music. I think he's sort of like, he's got a foot in the old school, like you think of Johnny Cash or Waylon Jennings, and that kind of, it wasn't crisp, clean country music for doing the two-step too. You know, it's country music for bars and people that have troubles and stuff like that, you know?
Right.
And what else? I can't think of. I didn't listen to a whole lot of music this week. I think that's basically all that I consciously put on. Several different Mogwai albums, and I did listen to 2 or 3 Bingham, but I just remember Junkie Star mostly. There might have been some background stuff on, but I can't even recall what it was. Like I said, didn't have a whole lot of time to concentrate on music.
I'm just going to say this. This next week is the end of our summer listening. Next week, we can talk about the last bit of music that we listened to during the summer.
And then after that, it's pumpkin spice listing.
That's a lot of pressure.
I know. Yeah.
Make it good. Okay. I listened to the Beach Boys, and I listened to Jan and Dean, and I listened to
Jan and Dean,
David Lee Roth solo album.
Dead Man's Curve, baby. All right.
Awesome.
Grant, what have you been listening to? I mean, not what have you been listening to? We're going to just get into our topic here. So who did it best? What's your first choice?
My first choice is an obvious choice.
Obviously.
After I mention it. A cover of a Leonard Cohen song that basically no one but diehard Leonard Cohen fans knew about until Mr. Jeff Buckley did a cover of it and put it on the map. Right. And then everybody and their mother's brother covered it. But I believe Buckley's has the most heart and soul.
We didn't say what the name of the song was.
Hallelujah. Sorry.
There you go.
I'm sorry, everyone. Hallelujah. You knew it. Everybody knew it.
I knew it. Yeah.
And I can remember it was around, what year was it? Dating myself here.
Well, 94 is when Grace came out.
Yeah. 2000, I believe. We were doing, I was pretty much a staple at the open mic night at Borders. And I remember doing Hallelujah and people asking me if I wrote that song.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, sure. That's how unknown that song was at the time, you know.
Was it 2 years later that Rufus Wainwright did it on the Shrek? He did a version on Shrek.
It was a couple years later. I don't know exactly.
It was 2002, I think.
Yeah. But there's a million covers now. But,
what's the bottom line? Who did it best?
Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, I agree.
I have to disagree.
Okay.
I love that version.
Yeah.
John Cale's version is really good. Really good. But Leonard Cohen is not a singer. He's not a vocalist.
No, not at all. Yeah.
But there's actually so many different versions of that song because, when Leonard Cohen would sing it, he would sing different verses on different nights, depending on, I guess, what he was feeling. But I just get more from Leonard Cohen singing that. There's
he's the original.
I can't remember where it is. I can find it if I look for it. But on YouTube, there's a live video of him singing that song, and it's just it's very powerful. Jeff Buckley's was very good. Of course, everybody knows that version. A lot of people think that's his song.
I know,
but I do like John Cale's better, and I would have to get pressed. I would have to go with Leonard Cohen's version.
I'm just going to give my take on this. I think that I'm familiar with all those versions. They're all excellent, like you said.
Yeah.
I think the thing about Jeff Buckley's version is so dynamic and it's so vulnerable. To me, it's the most vulnerable version. That's just my opinion, but it's really delicate. I mean, it's a delicate song, but
it's powerful and delicate at the same time.
That's a good description. Speaking of his vulnerability, because you get something different from Cohen's version,
right?
Where because he has that raspy voice, it feels like an older man singing, and there's that
has its own power.
can't think of the word. Anyway, there's I don't want to say desperation, but longing maybe
Right.
in his version. It's certainly it's very different.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it.
Well, I
That's
love
how
the
you think
song.
about it.
That's the way I think about it.
There's no right or wrong answer. These are our opinions, but I agree with you, Grant.
Well, no, I'm right. What I said was right. I'm sure of that.
You're right, Michael.
Thank you for seeing it my way.
Let it go now.
Oh my goodness.
Okay, Mike. what's
Well,
your-
since I'm going to throw a wrench into things,
I'm disagreeing with Michael already that
I'm gonna
whatever he
bring up,
picks
I,
is
I
not the
can't
best.
wait for you to throw a wrench in the thing.
I got years now. I
Uh-oh.
wrote down the years.
I did not write years
so I'd be prepared.
or albums.
Hard to Handle by Otis Redding, 1968. And I think that was released posthumously. I think that was released in fact, I know it was because he died in 67, right? I should know that. Shouldn't I know that?
He died. Yeah,
Call
he did
yourself
die in
Otis Redding?
67.
I
for
know.
sure.
I'm
Jeez.
ashamed.
I was
Getting
thinking he died
toxic.
December of 67 in
Yes.
Wisconsin.
Yes, and Hard to Handle came out in 68 on the next album. Great song. Black Crowes certainly did an amazing version in their first
Right.
release in 1990. My issue with that is a better recording, but it's
Right.
not that different. And when someone does a cover of a song, I want to hear something different.
Yes, that's
So Black Crowes, excellent version, but
they're playing
Otis
that
Redding.
song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Otis's version. Yeah.
yeah, Otis Redding just has that energy behind it. Everything he does is so powerful, and his version of Hard to Handle is certainly stand out.
Oh, I lied. I agree with you.
Of course you do.
I don't know that I have a favorite amongst the two, but I just know that the guitar solo in Hard to Handle by the Black Crowes was played by Brendan O'Brien,
Yeah.
the great producer. And I didn't know that for a number of years, and it's just a fantastic performance. But I think the energy is definitely with the Black Crowes version, to me,
Mhm.
the energy. But the other observation you made about, or your take on, you want something different. I don't necessarily want it to be different. I just want it to be as good. And that's going to be performance. It's going to be energy, feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's all these elements that are intangible, sort of.
And they're
You can
different for
describe them.
everyone sometimes.
Yeah, it's got to feel good. It's got to
Right.
feel, and that's a really tough thing to
Well,
try to
yeah,
describe to somebody.
Sometimes that's very nuanced, whether it's
Oh, yeah,
how
very
it
much
doesn't have to be night and day, but
Right.
there does need to be something for me. There needs to be something that stands out that gets my attention, even if
Okay.
I'm not aware of it, that draws me in.
Sometimes it's gone too far out, strays too far from the melody or the structure or whatever. And it's like, okay, it's almost a new song instead of a cover,
I have an example of that, but I'll let you guys talk before I don't want to spoil anybody's list.
All right. My first choice is Make You Feel My Love, originally written by Bob Dylan.
Mm-hmm.
And Adele
Oh,
made her own song. And it's almost unfair to say who did it best. She did it best.
Yeah.
But Bob Dylan's not a classical singer.
yeah. He's
As
like
we know
Cohen.
it.
He's limited.
Yeah, he's an interpreter.
Yeah.
He's got his own vibe.
He's the writer.
But he wrote the lyrics, which are they're just awesome.
Yeah.
But she understood the power of that song. But I want to say that Garth Brooks did a version of that song too.
Is that right?
10 years
I heard
before.
that.
I think, I hope I'm not remembering that wrong, but I want to say he did a version of it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she heard that and she
That
thought,
could be, yeah.
I don't know. I've
But,
never read that anywhere, but Billy Joel's done a version of it. I did not care for it at all. I think he tried to do it like Bob Dylan. He's got that thing where he's got that soul side of him, and he
Mhm.
also has this interpreter or imitation type of a thing that he does. It just don't work for me. But yeah, check out the Billy Joel version. I think you'll hear that he's trying to do Bob Dylan, and just is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That round definitely goes to Adele. I think Bob Dylan's songs are best when you make it your own. Other
Yeah.
people who have recorded his songs have put their twist on it, and
Right.
that's what makes it stand out. And even though the original, he's not a vocalist, we've already said that, but his songwriting is amazing. You know,
Well, yeah, it is. It
the
is.
ingredients are there, you know, but somebody else, when they make it their own, certainly elevate it, for the most part.
Well,
The
there is a
covers I've
Bob
heard of his
Dylan
songs.
song that I'm not going to name, and it may be on one of our lists, that I do think his version's the version, and tons of people have done it, and I'm sure
Yeah.
you know what it is. But I prefer his version. I think it's the best.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not that just because his voice is not fantastic,
Sometimes that works in your favor.
yeah, I think it really works on this particular song, but maybe that'll come up, maybe it won't.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's my first choice.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. Second choice, same as the first. No, just kidding. I'm going to go with I don't know if you've either of you.
When would that be?
Yeah. I don't know if you've heard this. It's a cover by one of your favorite bands, Jamey, U2, of a famous song by the name of Unchained Melody.
I've not heard that by U2.
It is drenched in reverb and delay, of course, with the Edge's guitar, but it captures the spirit of that.
Really?
I think that because there's a desperation. You mentioned that earlier about the other song, but I think there's a desperation in that, especially in some of those lyrics. Time can do so much. You know, he's referring to time can tear us apart. Joy Division reference. Love can tear us apart. But
okay, well, you didn't mention who did it originally.
Oh God,
the Righteous Brothers.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
That's part of the deal, guys.
Yeah, sorry. My brain. I was thinking about describing the song.
Yeah.
I mean, their version is great for what it is. It's
Right.
amazing, and their voices, their harmonies, forget it. But this is just a totally, even though it doesn't stray from the melody, it strays from it brings a different feel in.
I don't know that I've heard that version of it. Where is that from?
It was a B-side to was it Desire?
So that was recorded during that era?
During the Rattle and Hum era.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I never heard that.
Yeah.
It's much more, the moment it starts, you have a more expansive feel. It's more of a wide open type sound, type production. Like I said, it's drenched in some of the best sounding drums Larry Mullen has played. Not very punchy. That snares just pops and cracks. It's just, and he doesn't really play a lot. There's not a lot of drums in it.
Yeah.
But it's just it makes you think of how you feel when you're feeling those words to that song. If you've ever felt like that in real life, you know, how you feel about someone. I think it encapsulates it perfectly.
I just want to say the song All I Want Is You is probably one of the most vulnerable songs that they've done. And that is, you almost have to really be listening because it starts out so low.
Yeah.
Those lyrics are powerful and they mean something. So I'm sure that period of time, Bono was probably just in that frame of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, this was 2 years before the Ghost movie came out. That song is in one of the most memorable scenes from the movie Ghost.
Of course. Yeah. But I guess and they were all into at the time with Joshua Tree and that was the American. They were totally immersing themselves in American music. And I don't know if who came up with that idea, whether it was Bono or The Edge or someone else said, "Hey, check this out. Let's cover this." But I really love it. I think they hit it 100%.
That's cool.
Well, the way you describe it makes me want to listen to it. I haven't heard that version before. That's been done by so many people. Right. Oh my goodness. Whenever I hear that song, I go to my mom, for some reason, bought me a 45 of Elvis singing that live. And it's a great version, but it's very melodramatic. It's very over the top, as you can imagine. But that's what I think of when I hear that song. And it's hard to separate it from the Righteous Brothers original.
Yeah.
You know, that's when someone mentions that, that's what you hear. But yeah, I'll have to check out that YouTube version.
Yeah, check it out. It's very different, but like I said, it doesn't stray from the melodies there.
Yeah.
They're true to the song, but they're doing it in the, there's delay guitar.
Was that a studio version or live?
Studio?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know where I don't know if that was one of the songs they recorded. I've never seen that they recorded that at Sun when they did all the other songs that they recorded there, but I didn't research it that far, and I've never even, in all these years, I've never even heard where they recorded
You've had a whole week.
I've had a couple of decades.
What do you do with your life?
I've had a couple of decades to find out where that song was
30,
recorded.
30
years.
35 years, 36 years. Yeah. All right. That's a cool song.
Jamey does the math.
Love that song. I will do the math for us, guys. I'm right most of the time.
I think you know what direction I'm headed tonight.
I know one song that you're definitely going to mention. I will be shocked if you don't mention it.
It's coming up next. 1965, Otis Redding, Respect.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say.
That's not. Oh, we're getting there, but everyone knows Aretha Franklin's version. So many people don't know Otis Redding wrote the song and his recorded version. They're so different. Aretha Franklin put it on the map 2 years later.
Yeah.
Very powerful, both versions. But I mean, it's obvious Otis Redding did it better.
Okay.
No comment immediately. Okay.
I don't have a disagreement.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I think that what comes to mind immediately for me is just how great. Now, I love Otis Redding. I really do. I love his songs. I love his singing. He's just got this certain something that really is inviting. But technically, Aretha Franklin's version is better. Technically, that's really what my whole point of saying this is. A singer, it's just like, oh my G, this is an amazing person that's able to sing, and I think that's what sold that song. It is a great song, but I think her performance is what elevated that version and made it her song.
Well, I think it like it too because they're
sense.
both. It's almost like a male perspective and a female perspective.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, that sounds obvious, but it's really not when you listen to how they sing it and the little nuances.
Yes.
They're almost equal, is what I would say.
I don't know that I could choose one of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Really,
To me,
I don't know that I could.
I talked to my wife about my list and I told her about that. And I said, Otis Redding, obviously. And she, we almost got into an argument. She was, she couldn't believe I would say that. Blasphemy. Of course, Aretha Franklin's version is amazing, but they are two very different recordings. She just took that song and ran with it, made it her own. And like Grant said, it's like two different versions. In Otis Redding's version, it's like he's pleading with this girl, I'm doing this for you. Show me some respect.
Right. And
in Aretha Franklin's version, she's saying, hey, you want anything from me? You better show me some respect.
Right.
And it's that dichotomy, I guess, of each of them saying the same thing and having different meanings or feelings to the song. What a great song.
Yes.
But Aretha Franklin. Sorry, Otis. Aretha Franklin's is certainly the better version.
Oh wow, you're actually saying
I'm going to say that.
I think
for me, if I were going to put it, listen to it, it would be Otis Redding for me. But
yeah,
I can't deny that she made a big impact with that song.
All right, well that's interesting. God, there's so many that I want to talk about that we're not going to get a chance to discuss. I'm going to try to throw some curveballs. I'm going to talk about Love Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Everly Brothers did it originally, I believe. Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris did it next. And then Nazareth. Nazareth is the first version I heard.
Yeah.
And I really do prefer that version.
I
I
agree.
really love the Graham Parsons version. I love it. But I just don't think it's better.
The intensity is
It's
of Nazareth
definitely
version.
different.
Yeah.
I think that Nazareth really, and they were really great interpreters. This Flight Tonight by Joni Mitchell, they did their own
Yeah.
thing with it. They were good interpreters. I just think that version is the version, and just it really did take it somewhere else, and it's certainly different. Like you were talking about,
Yeah.
it's got to go somewhere else, and it went somewhere else. But God, singing on that version is really passionate, and everything about it, the instrumentation is fantastic. It really it worked. That
Yeah.
arrangement is fantastic. So
Yeah.
When
Like
you
I said,
when you can take those songs and make them your own, that's you win when you do that.
yeah, right.
You know,
Well,
Nazareth's version certainly stands out. That's the yardstick by what the others will be measured by most people.
I think so. All right. Well, Grant, you're back up.
okay, let's see here. I'm gonna go with a little number by John Coltrane, which was from a movie, a very famous movie, sung by a very famous actress. My Favorite Things, and it
This
changed.
is so different from each other. I can't wait to hear what you got to say about this.
Well, no, the song is very, for lack of a better description, because my brain is addled today. It's kind of, it's kitschy, just the descriptions and everything, and
Yeah.
and what they're doing with it in the movie, and then just listen to it. But then when there's no lyrics, the melody takes, especially obviously with someone like John Coltrane, the melody just becomes infinite, for lack of better description again. And it's in 3, and it's very fluid in 3, which is odd sometimes. You don't think about, other than a waltz, a traditional strict 3 beat, you don't think about a 3 being that flowing, and that's what, the first time I heard that song, I was like, wait a minute, it's still in 3. I thought they had changed the time because it was grooving more or less, but yeah, and there's I don't think there's a definitive version. There's studio version, and then there's a million live versions. But I really loved the version when he was playing with Elvin.
That's the version that I'm going to listen to when I listen to that song. I do not own The Sound of Music with Julie Andrews singing. I do not own that. I don't think that I'd probably go out of my way to listen to that. But I was going to say that it's a testament to the actual songwriting. That melody is so powerful.
It translates even instrumentally.
Words, well, I personally think it translates even better. Well, not better. That's ridiculous. The lyrics are, of course, super.
Well,
important.
they were written for a certain thing.
God, that is just a great melody.
It is,
and it had to be written in order for John Coltrane to interpret it and do his thing on it. And he understood that instinctively, that he could make that work for him. Because who would choose that song?
Exactly. It's like
that came out in 1960, I think, and then he did it in 65, maybe. 60. I actually no, he did it in 61. The
first time I saw that on a record, I was like, I've got to buy this record because I have to hear what this sounds like.
It really is. Without the lyrics, it really swings, and you really get to hear the melody. I'm not sure how to describe it, but without the words, the words are kind of a distraction for me.
I agree with that.
And the melody really does swing when you hear it just played instrumentally. And Coltrane's version, that's the one for me.
I totally agree. All right, Mike.
Okay.
Michael.
All right. Let me get out my short list. Knock on Wood by Eddie Floyd, 1966. It was recorded again by Amy Stewart in 1979 as a disco song. Obviously.
And you love the disco version best, I know.
Eddie Floyd's version was just a great R&B tune. You know, it's a lot of fun. But Amy Stewart's version, the production, her voice is amazing, of course, but the production, the whole thing about it is just over the top and just it's so much fun. The horns, the synth horns,
It is fun.
it sounds like electronic drums going down
Right.
before the chorus. It's probably a Moog sequencer or something, but there's so much happening in there that it's just really a fun version. So I would have to say my favorite version is Otis Redding's version from 1967.
I see a pattern here.
I don't know what you're talking
I've
about.
seen the pattern.
Otis
I've caught
Redding,
onto your game, sir.
Picking up the pace and putting that horn section in.
Curveball, baby.
You said it. You wanted one.
It's the best, man. Otis Redding, 1967.
You've heard it here, everyone. Otis Redding is the
Otis
best.
Redding's name has been mentioned last.
His version of Eruption is amazing.
Did I mention him already?
Yeah.
I don't remember.
Speaking of Eruption,
Here it
I'm going
comes.
to talk about "You Really Got Me" by the Kinks and Van Halen.
Yes.
I'm going to say that I heard Van Halen's version before the Kinks.
Really?
Remember which version I heard first?
I'm pretty sure. I could tell a whole story how I even came to know about Van Halen, which I won't. But I discovered them almost 2 years after they'd been around, because I never listened to the radio. And I've said this before. I've never been a radio person. I'm still not. I didn't hear any of that stuff on the radio as a kid. So somebody told me about it. And I got it almost 2 years later. It's really difficult. The song had to be written by Ray Davies to be something that the guys could understand. Okay, we can do something with this. And I think their version is fantastic. Had I grown up with the Kinks version, I might prefer that version, but I do prefer Van Halen's version. It's got it just sounds like they were playing live in the studio.
Yeah,
it's
the energy is off the charts, as they say.
It's just like Eddie Van Halen's guitar playing was just, and his sound. And that's where I've got to kind of try to separate it as much as possible.
Yeah.
How much am I being influenced by the performance and the sound versus the guitar sounds that existed in 1964 or whatever it was, whenever the original came out? There's no comparison.
Yeah.
So it's really unfair to try to say one's better in that regard. It's my preference.
Yeah. Well, the Kinks really have that garage band aesthetic,
very much
that
so.
60s garage band sound. The Van Halen version just soars with so much
Stadium
energy.
rock. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's arena rock or whatever you want to call it.
It's so much. There's so much more energy to that, and it is night and day. It's hard to compare because that kind of thing wasn't. It just wasn't in the 60s. So
it didn't exist yet.
Yep. Yeah, and I did hear the Kinks before Van Halen.
That's interesting.
But I do prefer the Van Halen.
I probably did hear Kinks on the radio too, but I prefer Van Halen, obviously.
Yeah,
I just Otis Redding's version.
I'll never know.
Had a version. Then it'd be a longer discussion.
All right, so you just gave me an idea. So
I Otis Redding version.
Okay, so that's my third choice. Grant, you're back up.
What are we on, fourth? I got to decide what I'm going to do here. I got too many choices. I'm going to go with. Originally, the song was done by 9 Inch Nails. A little fun ditty by the name of "Hurt," and I believe the Man in Black, Johnny Cash, has done the definitive version of that song. And we can move on to the next choice. There's no discussion.
Someone said when you're 23 and you sing about being hurt like that, having regrets, then there's a different connotation because you're young and you have all this time ahead of you to fix that. When you're older, like Johnny Cash was, and you're looking back at everything you've done and see regret. It's much more heartbreaking.
Well, let's just talk about the genius of the individual who put that to Johnny Cash to do. I do not think Johnny Cash said, oh, I've been listening to that Nine Inch Nail song. I think I want to do a version of that. It was proposed to him to do it.
Yeah.
Was it?
Wouldn't
I know
you
that,
say? I don't know this for sure.
Well, he was doing the American, I can't remember what it's called. It wasn't American Songs, where Rick Rubin produced
American Recordings.
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. And I can only imagine that Rick Rubin was probably going through songs and going, "Oh my God, this would be
could be." Yeah, amazing. I know. Rick Rubin told him, "If you'll come and record with me, I'll let you do whatever you want. Yeah, anything you want." So
now,
I mean, that's
somebody
as much
please
information
correct
as I have.
us if I'm wrong, and anybody that's listening or watching this that tells me no, you're absolutely wrong. I want to know about it. I don't know for sure. I cannot imagine somebody did not say, this would be great for you to do it, and they were correct. Because just like everything you just said, Mike, that song makes so much sense whenever you hear it. But on paper, if you were to see it, you're like, what? Perfectly makes sense. And it is so vulnerable.
Yeah.
It just, it's excellent. Totally agree. Johnny Cash version is the version.
Mm-hmm. If you're watching from the UK and you know the answer, put it in the comments.
Yes. Or tell us if Otis Redding's version is the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He may have had a version. Is it my turn? I feel like we're just being silly tonight.
Just tell us what Otis Redding song you like next.
Oh, stop it.
Michael's mad. We figured it out.
I'm looking at the dates so I can get the dates right. 1965, the Rolling Stones came out with their signature song, Satisfaction. You know, when you think of the Stones, you think of Satisfaction. I can't get into Satisfaction.
I would have been so surprised had you, or shocked, or disappointed, or all of the above if you had not mentioned this version.
Well, when we were talking about this, I think I brought this up as an example. But 1977, if you want a song that's so different from the original, Devo's record. Was it 78? Okay. Devo recorded a version of Satisfaction. And if I'm correct, they wanted to do a different Stone song. They wanted to put Give Me Shelter, I think, to the music they came up with, but it didn't fit.
Yeah.
It didn't fit. So they decided to use Satisfaction.
That would be weird.
So yeah, they're like, what lyrics can we squeeze in with this song we wrote?
Disjointed.
Yeah. But I can't say which is better. You know, the Stones is the definitive version.
The Devo's is cool.
And Devo's is just out there, and it just draws you in. It's like, what is this weirdness? And you start listening. It's like, this is really cool. This is crazy and amazing. But,
it is a great interpretation, and it is so wildly different.
Yeah.
The original is so guitar. It just lays so great on the guitar, and it's so much fun to play.
Yeah. Well, there are others. There are others that have recorded it. Britney Spears. I haven't heard that version, but
I didn't know she did.
Yeah, but the best version has to be Otis Redding's 1965.
Told you.
Keith Richards, when he wrote it, wanted to have a horn section in there, and the main riff he distorted. He distorted to kind of
mimic a
horn sound. Otis Redding picked up the tempo, put in a horn section, and just wails on it.
Let's talk about the fuzz.
It's cool.
This was possibly the one of the first fuzz guitar sounds on record.
A Gibson fuzz pedal, right?
It was a Gibson Maestro fuzz, I think. Yeah. It wasn't the very first recording, and I don't know if a lot of people know this, but Dottie West, the country singer's husband, is the one that created the first fuzz.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure that that's correct. Bill West, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I've read that in the past that he came up with a circuit. And that might have been 4 or 5 years before Satisfaction came out.
Well, if you haven't heard Otis Redding's version, go out and listen to it tonight after the show. It's amazing, high energy, soulful. It's the best.
We're going to subtitle this episode the Otis
Redding song.
Otis Redding's top 5 achievements.
Okay. I'm going to talk about I Heard It Through the Grapevine. Marvin Gaye, Gladys Knight,
I
CCR,
think version's better.
Otis Redding. You left him off the list.
Yeah.
He did a version of that song.
I consider those three the versions, but Marvin Gaye to me is the version. I love what CCR did with it. It's very guitar driven, and I think that version is like 11 minutes long.
Yeah,
And
it
doesn't feel like 11 minutes to me. It really works. I think they stretched it out in a really good way. Marvin Gaye's version, I'm a huge Marvin Gaye fan. I just think his version is the definitive version. But I think Gladys Knight, she did a decent version of it. And, I have to say, Otis Redding's version, I don't consider that one of the three definitive versions. I don't. That's not what comes to mind when I think of that
Calm
song.
down, Michael.
So,
well, it's okay to be wrong.
Yeah. Well,
no, I get that. Gladys Knight's version is
it's very good.
I really like it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to agree. Marvin Gaye's has to be the best.
It's
my choice. Anyway, I should say my choice. It's not sitting.
Yeah.
Try and stay a little neutral.
Okay. All right. Got two more that I'd love to talk about. I can only talk about one. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Grant.
But I have a couple, but I'm gonna pick this one.
Yeah.
Very famous song by a very famous left-handed guitarist from the 60s. Little Wing, Jimi Hendrix. But I believe I really like an instrumental version done by a very famous Texas guitarist by the name of Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Interesting.
There's no lyrics as instrumental songs go, but
that's what I hear.
Everything is relayed.
How that goes, isn't it?
Yes, it's funny. Just like my favorite things, it's a different, totally different take on it. Without, the lyrics. Obviously, everyone knows the lyrics, and it's hard pressed not to sing them in your head. But he conveys all those things that the lyrics say with his playing. In my opinion, it's immaculate, and only Otis Redding could have done it better than that.
If only he had a chance.
Exactly. But I just think it's phenomenal. And as a cover,
it has to be said that the weirdness continues. Axis Bold as Love, which is the record that Little Wing was off of, was released the same month that Otis Redding died. So there had to be some sort of conspiracy
to keep him from recording it.
We can't have him record this.
There had to be something going on there.
But that's my take.
There are several versions of Little Wing, and Sting did a version.
That's right.
Actually played on Saturday Night Live, and I don't think it's really even any comparison. I think that Steve Ray Vaughan's version is probably my second favorite version, but it is excellent. And like you said, that period of time, I think that came out. Did he do Little Wing on? Was that like on the Sky is Crying record? That wasn't released on.
Was that Couldn't Stand the Weather? No,
I think that was Voodoo Child, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. You're right.
Yeah, I think Little Wing was recorded. He never released it.
It was on the posthumous release.
Sky is Crying.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they had Wham on it and had some other songs. So I bought that. That came out in '91.
And Riviera Paradise was on that too.
Riviera Paradise.
Was that on?
Another
excellent instrumental, by the way.
Yeah, the third record. Name is
I can't think of it.
Escaping me. Inline, check, whatever it was called. Yeah, and that's an excellent instrumental in itself. That's maybe my favorite instrumental of his, Riviera Paradise. Yeah, but the version that he did of Little Wing is excellent. He really interpreted it with a ton of soul, and it's just when you think about taking somebody's piece of music and infusing your whole vibe. He definitely did that. It's equally as good in a different way.
Yeah,
but I love the lyrics to the song. I'm not even a lyric guy. I think the lyrics. I don't even think Jimi Hendrix gets enough credit for how wonderful of a lyricist he was. very creative person,
Mhm.
and really painted a picture with a lot of songs.
Yeah.
And being a huge Bob Dylan fan, I think he understood the value of how to paint a picture, within something to get his point across. But yeah,
Yeah.
I think I have to stick with Hendrix's version, but geez, it's a close second that Steve Ray Vaughan's version. It is an excellent version of it, and
Yeah.
I would say it's really close, and it's definitely worthy of being mentioned. A question.
Yeah, I appreciate that too. I would have to say Jimmy's version was the one I'd want to listen to, although not taking anything away from Stevie Ray Vaughan.
I would have no problem at all if somebody put that up. I would listen to it and enjoy every second of Steve Ray Vaughan's version. It's excellent.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
Mike.
What?
Actually, I only had 4 because
Otis Redding.
that's I've got a long list here of things that just don't excite me. I wanted to talk about Otis Redding, but I'll throw out "Higher Ground" by Stevie
Redding.
Wonder.
Oh, okay.
And Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know the Chili Peppers had a big hit with it. I remember teaching bass guitar to someone, and the first time we sat down, he wanted to learn how to play the Chili Peppers version. He wanted to play like Flea. I'm like, oh, here we go.
That's not how this works, young man.
Yeah, I'll tell you what you're going to learn. This is a song by Otis Redding. Here we go. But I have to say Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder just, I think, grooves better. The Chili Peppers version is good, but it just seems harsh.
You know what ruins
it's too
it?
metallic
to me. Yeah,
that their cover is that terrible snare sound in that cover. It is terrible.
Well, I get that. Yeah, but there's it's just
listen
not
to it next time you listen to it and go, oh my god,
it's fine. It's very good version.
Yeah.
And it's enjoyable, but it is not better than the original.
Yeah,
you said
Stevie
metallic,
Wonder's
and I think
version.
it's overblown, over the top.
Yeah, Stevie's version is smoother. It has that
warm and
groove.
inviting.
Who produced that? Do you know who produced the Chili Peppers cover of that?
I don't. It's
Michael
something
Beinhorn,
well,
which is shocking. I
Yeah,
think
there
it's
you go.
Beinhorn because his production on Super Unknown by the Soundgarden, amongst
It
others,
almost sounds
phenomenal.
I hate the production on their cover so badly. It sounds like a demo to me. It almost sounds like let's demo it and then go back later and
I can see that
and redo it.
It needs to
And
be
it's just because
balanced out.
sonically it doesn't really resonate very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they didn't
It's
never,
just totally
they never
about
went back.
the sonics. The levels of the instruments are fine, but sonically, I think we're all in agreement. It just doesn't work.
Yeah,
It's just harsh. When you compare it to the original,
yeah,
Intervisions, 1973.
it's got that
That
vibe.
whole record is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's my favorite Stevie Wonder record easily. I've listened to that record more than any other easily.
Yeah.
Golden Lady is my favorite track off that record. That's just such a good record. So highly recommended to anybody who's not heard that. Yeah. It's too bad Otis Redding didn't do a version of that one.
If only.
If only.
If only. Yeah. I'm going to go with Harold Melvin in the Blue Notes and Simply Red. If you don't know me by now.
Mm-hmm.
I love the song. I had never heard the original version from 1972. Teddy Pendergrass was a member of this band at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. That's such a fantastic song. That song stayed with me all these years. And the message is clear. And the melody, and it's passionate. As much as I love the original, I gotta say the Simply Red version is sang with so much passion.
Mm-hmm.
I don't prefer the version. I don't prefer the production. That late 80s production's always never been a fan of it. It's just too much reverb and it's a little bit harsh, but the lead singer, Mick, his last name escapes me. His vocals are so passionate and It's just fantastic. So I have to say the cover is the preferred version to me.
Well, like you say, the 80s production, I won't say it ruins it for me, but
No, it
it
doesn't ruin
doesn't it doesn't really make it for me. So I lean toward the original. That's
Yeah.
the one I like better.
That's
just
the
feels
well, I've
more-
got both versions on a phone on playlists.
Yeah.
There's part of me that probably prefers the original just because it's so warm and it's that analog production that existed at the time is so
Yeah.
inviting. But I love that version. I really prefer that version in some ways. But if I just somebody were to say, what's the better version? The vocal passion that the lead singer of Simply Red puts into that song, I think, does elevate it.
Yeah.
Not sonically. Sonically, I do not think it's better.
But emotionally, yeah.
There's no
Emotionally,
denying,
I think it's better just from the emotion.
No denying the vocals on that one are exquisite.
Yeah.
The only
Well-
better version is if Otis Redding had lived to do a version of it, it would have been better.
It's coming. Someone's going to find it somewhere. It's going to happen.
Oh, there's a few others that I wish we could discuss. There was
Throw
a
one
big
more out there, Jamie.
Okay.
You said
got
you wanted
one.
to do two.
Bruce Springsteen and Manfred Mann, Blinded by the Light. I'm just going to ask you two, which version do you prefer?
I prefer Manfred Mann.
Yes, Manfred Mann.
I agree. I think they made it a better song.
Springsteen was doing his Dylan impression
Yeah.
when he wrote that and recorded that song. And
Right.
I get it. Springsteen was heavily influenced by him in
Yeah.
storytelling, and he was finding his sea legs. And he's got several songs like that. And there's nothing wrong with them, but it's just
Right.
they were improved upon by the cover.
How, again, the talent. Somebody has to listen to something and say, I can do something with that.
Yeah.
And then do their own interpretation. That's a gift. Not only do you have to actually do it, but somebody has to say, oh, I've got a vision for this. I can make this better, or I can do something in
And the
my own
arrangement
way.
alone
Oh, it's
on
fantastic.
the cover is
Yeah, exactly.
I can
Yeah.
remember listening to that as a kid and be like,
Oh, yeah.
what is this? I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was overwhelmingly. It took you somewhere. I mean, I never knew about Bruce Springsteen when I was a kid. Hearing that on the radio,
Oh, I didn't either.
yeah,
That was such a great radio song
mhm.
for the time. I think
Yeah.
that came out in '76. I think
That
that was
sounds right.
that was a great radio song, and controversy about some of the lyrics.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, but that arrangement
But,
was just
Yeah,
Yeah,
Springsteen's
so-
version, can't talk. Springsteen's version is so raw, typical Springsteen at the
Yeah.
time, but it's so raw. And Manfred Mann's is one of those songs where the production became part of the song, and the
Yeah.
production really made that
yeah.
song.
And the like I said,
The arrangement of
yeah,
of how
Springsteen's
everything's
version
done.
went like this,
Yeah, it was very
Yeah.
good.
and Manfred Mann
Yeah.
was.
Yeah,
you
it was
know,
a
very
theatrical.
dynamic.
It's a very
Yeah.
theatrical song.
Well,
the
I'm
way they
sure that
recorded
he
it.
was appreciative that they picked to do it
Yeah.
because he made, I'm sure, a little bit
Oh,
of
yeah.
money off of that. Well, that's our bonus pick. I
All right,
think I
I
think
can
that was a
throw
good one.
Otis
To
Redding
end.
in there. No, okay, maybe not.
I think that was a good one to end on. All right. Well, thanks everybody for checking in. We will be back next week with a guest, Dr. Christopher Clapp. And we're going to discuss the blues, amongst other things. We're going to revisit and catch up a little bit. I'm not sure we have all been in the same room together in quite a few years.
Quite a
And we
few.
won't
quite a
be
few.
next week either, but we'll be virtually in the same room. And should be a lot of fun. So
Yeah,
looking forward to hearing what our old friend has got to say. And we will see you all next week. Do not forget to like and subscribe as always.
And tip your waitress.
Yeah, tip your waitress and listen to Otis Redding. If you can get away with it. We'll talk to you guys next week.
all right. Be well. Written down your Otis. I got to make sure I listen to
Oh.
him.
Which one?